It's the 44th day of the lecturer strike, and by all indications, this is not yet over. After 3 strikes last year, the University Dons won the 2013-2017 collective bargaining agreement, a deal that was worth 15.2 billion shillings. Some good money right there. Fast forward to March 1st this year, and the battle is on. The university academic staff are looking for 38 billion shillings, and this is contained in the 2017-2021 proposed CBA by the Lecturers Union WASU to the government. Should this be granted, it would raise the salaries of the Dons by up to 562% by the year 2021. 38 billion shillings is just enough to build a new Thika Super Highway using the same rate as of November 2012. But how will this be shared amongst the 10,000 varsity instructors? The university academic staff are divided into 6 levels, the lowest and entry level being graduate assistant with the highest a professor. In each of the categories, there are 12 different pay grades. Currently, the senior-most professor earns 248,000 shillings as basic salary. Add to that a housing allowance of 73,000, putting professorial emoluments at between 243,000 and 322,000 per month. But WASU wants this increased by more than 5 times to between 1.24 million shillings and 1.8 million shillings. This inclusive of a basic pay of between 999,000 and 1.56 million. The professors want a housing allowance of 250,000 shillings a month.
Initially, lecturers used to live at Kileleshwa. But because of the cost of living, you cannot find a lecturer in Kileleshwa. And these are educated people. So lecturers have been removed from Kileleshwa to Madari. And these are learned people.
Such a salary would put the professors in the league of best paid Kenyans, but above the president and everyone who works under him, and all heads of the judiciary and the legislature.
If a professor, who is the highest resource, is not remunerated well, who is this person that is remunerated well in this country more than a professor? Is there any qualification beyond a professor?
At the middle level, a lecturer who currently earns between 156,000 and 194,000 shillings, that is inclusive of a housing allowance of 55,000, would have better days at the bank. WASU is proposing to raise a lecturer's salary to between 406,000 and 635,000 shillings. In it, a housing allowance of 145,000, nearly 3 times the current rate. The junior-most university academic staff of entry-level graduate assistant currently takes home between 82,000 shillings and 113,000, depending on their grade. Their housing allowance is not officially provided for and depends on individual universities' contracts. Should the proposed CBA go through, the graduate assistant will be paid a housing allowance of 130,000 and a basic pay of up to 306,000, joining the league of handsomely remunerated young professionals.
The government might not get the 38 billion at a go. It can be paid in phases.
Despite the elaborate and ambitious salary proposal by the union officials, it remains just that, a proposal without a counter-offer that they say is the cause of the current 44-day-long standoff.
Let them give us an offer, we negotiate. Then we shall have been able to decide the fate of the current crisis. Thank you. That is the only way out.
The Interpublic Universities Council Consultative Forum, IPUCCF, the body that represents university management of the 31 public institutions, has instead been to court seeking to fight the industrial action as illegal. Last week, the IPUCCF got orders requiring the lecturers to resume classes by Monday, the 9th of April. WASU remains defiant and has since moved to the Court of Appeal, but they are yet to be relieved of the directive to return to class a week later, what would be interpreted as defiance of a court order. But why?
Some don't want to canvass matters that are before a competent court of law.
And as learners remain disgruntled in schools and homes, backpassing is on a higher gear. Vice-chancellors and university councils blame the government.
There is no way we can make a proposal to the unions before the ministry tells us that this is the amount of money or this is the percentage you can negotiate within.
The ministry blames the Salaries and Remuneration Commission.
SRC will need to give the basis for the beacons within which we can give the counter-offer.
But the Salaries Commission is not yet properly constituted since the exit of former commissioners December last year.
I requested that maybe the union withdraw the court case let the SRC complete this job evaluation, and that time, then we will know the kind of amount of money that is sustainable, that we can afford.
Still, the lecturers won't budge until an offer is on the table.
Treasury can read our documents and give projections. Jogo House can give projections. In the meantime, we engage in meaningful and effective negotiations. We will only differ or make adjustments at the time of implementation when SRC perhaps will have been put in place.
In the end, a 38 billion shilling deadlock and a wasted academic semester. Who will blink first?
It's frustrating knowing that you're in an education system that was supposed to be 844, and now you're 84, now it's infinity. You really can't tell. You can't even plan for your future.
Our children are suffering, and we are breeding a generation who are very resentful and bitter.
Some Gituku Citizen Weekend.